okay, I may have found my newest addiction, as if I don't have enough of those already. Napkin art. Who knew that you could collage with napkins, out of all things? Discovered this again on one of my art tutorial binge watching videos, and I thought this was the coolest thing. So I went to the dollar store and picked out some pattern napkins to bring home and to play around with it. I decided to test it out on a few journal entries that I had done recently but had not recorded. This is so cool, you guys. You guys are going to love this if you try it out. So the first step that you need to do is to remove the extra layers to just get the printed part. Sometimes they're a bit tricky because it looks like there's only 2 layers to it, but that's why you want to put the tape on the corner, which is a tip that I found on one of the videos that helps to pull the layers apart. Like, I thought for sure this one only had 2 layers, but lo and behold, it was a 3-ply napkin. Had I not watched a few videos on this, I totally would have just taken a napkin as is, opened it up, and attempted to Mod Podge it onto my surface, which I'm sure you probably could do, but I'm not sure how it would turn out. You'd probably get a lot more wrinkles in the napkin, or maybe it wouldn't adhere as well because there's too many layers. I don't know. Now I'm going to have to go try it out just to see what it does. These extra layers can also be saved for other projects. It's much like tissue paper. You could use it to add texture to anything or apply stamps over top and then collage that onto your piece. There's a bunch of different things you could do for it, or just save it and use it as you would regular tissue paper, just a bit more layers. So don't throw it out, you know. So now I'm just deciding which part of the napkin I want to use and apply first. I could just go ahead and put Mod Podge or matte gel medium down on the whole piece, but I kind of want to try to piece it on and experiment a bit more with it. So I just grab a clean paintbrush and some water and kind of trace around the flower to get it to separate from the rest of the napkin. You could use scissors, but I think that this is a lot faster and easier to do than trying to cut out something that's so paper thin or napkin thin. You just want to make sure that you don't go too close to the pattern that you want to keep, because obviously the napkin's going to absorb the water and it's going to spread. It also works a lot better on a flat surface, but I'm just bringing it closer to the camera here just so that you guys can see. Which I don't think it's doing that great of a job, but you get the gist of it, right? So I'm going to be using matte gel medium to adhere my napkins in my inspiration journal. But again, you could use Mod Podge. There is an actual decoupage glue that you can use, and I'm sure there's even more products beyond my knowledge that are maybe even made specifically for this type of collaging, but I'm using what I have. I really like the matte gel medium. I like the consistency and the smoothness of it, and it's relatively easy to remove and readjust any pieces that you need to correct. Alright, so I'm just going to speed up the process here till we get to the end of this one before moving on to part 2.
Soundstripe.
How cool is this? So it's still transparent enough that the background comes through, but it really softens any detail or color that you have behind there. I really, really like this. I feel like this napkin, sorry, this napkin collage really completes the piece and adds that vintage detail to it that I really love. I've always attracted to all things vintage. So part 2 isn't a whole lot different than part 1, except I take one of the extra layers from this napkin and crunch it up to see if I can create almost like a material texture on top of this piece. I really like, again, the vintage aspect to this one. The vintage florals and stamps and the fountain pens. And I just wanted to experiment with the napkin a bit more, see what I come up with. So I went ahead and did that part first before adding the printed part of the napkin onto this piece. So I'm going to continue with the sped up version, and I'll be back in a minute.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
So at first I was going to add another flower to the other side of this piece, and then I decided to take another route and go with one of my vintage stamps, which I'm really glad I ended up doing that. I like just adds another layer to it, and then going on top of the napkin as well. And that is pretty much it for this piece as well. I really like how they both turned out with this vintage napkin pattern, and I can't wait to get some more done. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it inspires you guys to play around with maybe some pattern napkins that you have at home, and hope you will share your creations with me as well. All right, guys, till next time.